And welcome in again, Harold H.B. Bell, Jumbo Love, as he is known on this internet radio platform. And we are here again, and this is our second segment. And Dr. Anakute, we received so many rave responses about the information that you shared on snoring and some of the habits of sleeping last week. And on this second segment, we really want to dive into some particulars. And I was listening and I posed that question, Dr. Nikude. And first again, welcome in today.
Thank you, Harold. It's good
You
to
know,
be
I
here.
get I get to talking and sometimes I have to watch, and remember, Jumbo, you're online with someone else. But we had some candid conversations, and as you were talking last week, I was just thinking, and I said, we are this is very basic because number one, sleep is a primary need, and without it, you're going to suffer. And then I said, well, we've got two different species on this planet, men and women. And you were talking about temperatures and sleeping. And I know as a 66-year-old man, some of my experiences with some of my beautiful queens have been quite difficult when it comes to temperatures and comfortable sleeping. So I said today, if we could, let's take a dive into men and women, boy and girl, the biological and physiological makeup of these two different species, and talk about how sleep is maybe different or the same, how it might change as aging happens through different physiological changes in life, stresses in life. So give me an idea on the difference between men and women and sleeping.
Great question. Oh my goodness, that could take us forever.
Well,
Okay.
but that's good because we can
Yeah,
always slice it up.
yes. Okay. So let's start this way. In general, men versus women, men tend to deal a lot more with snoring earlier on, and most of the times have an increased risk of sleep apnea. Women do not really have that much risk until they get to menopause. And so I'm glad that you talked about it, right? When they start having hot flushes, hormonal changes, menstrual period begins to decline, and all of that. Then they catch up with men with the snoring issues. Before then, however, women are dealing with a little bit with insomnia, but then that gets a lot more common. Insomnia and sleep apnea slash snoring get more common as they get into menopause. So I would put it this way, for young adults, male, 40 years and above, would be dealing with snoring. That's the most common complaint I get from their wives saying, oh my goodness, my husband snores a lot. Can you help us? And that snoring really causes some distress between couples. And so at that age, in a man's life, he's trying to figure that out, trying to take care of that. And that goes alongside with low levels of testosterone for the men also at around that age. And the women don't have so much going on until they get to the 50s. And so menopause kicks in, and then they're dealing with insomnia. And then they begin to snore. So they catch up with the men at that age. And so both men and women are typically snoring together at about 50 years and above.
Wow.
For the women, they also struggle with insomnia. And the reason is because for the women, as estrogen decreases during menopause, that causes relaxation of the upper airway muscles. And the upper airway is the area where we get oxygen that goes through the different body parts. And so with that relaxation, it causes obstruction. And so then they begin to snore, and they're more at risk of sleep apnea at that age.
This is interesting. And that's what I told you, before we came on and said today our topics are going to be, I said, man, and when you said we could talk about this forever, and that is good because we can touch, right now, we've got about four different segments that we could go off into for 15 minutes by itself. But what I'm hearing is from day one, we are already dealing with a dynamic in sleep that if we're talking about coming together and being a union as man and woman or woman and woman, man and man, whatever your choice might be, sleep is going to play a major role in affecting that relationship, because I can only imagine at 40, here's Mr. Snore, and the lady who can get some rest is like, man, you are waking me up every night. And then he might get that together, and 5 to 10 years later, she starts hitting the hormonal button, and now he's waking up every night because she's snoring. I mean, it could be destructive to a relationship. I mean, the simplicity of it.
It can be, yes. I can tell you how many patients that are at the verge of having what we call a sleep divorce, right? Basically,
Yeah.
where men are, the wife is sleeping in a different room, the man is in a different room, and they're like, we just can't sleep together because someone is snoring and the other one just can't keep up with that. And so most people are coming in together and want to make sure that that is resolved. The men typically come to my clinic saying, listen, I want to make my wife happy. That's why they're coming in. They don't even really care that they snore or the medical complications of untreated sleep apnea. They just want to have their wives happy and stop snoring.
Now, see, that's that. Here we go to that man-woman difference, you know. And I try to tell people all the time, you can run from it, but the facts are, we're like hunters and providers, and that is our nature. Forget me, doc. I just want to make sure my lady's happy, and the lady's like, hey, man, I wish you quit snoring so I could get some good sleep. so it's you know, it's two different things on that level, and that's not going to be it. But as we age, and you've touched on this, and now we can go a little bit deeper into this content, because as we age, and as you mentioned about 40, that's when men really begin to snore, and probably due to the fact, as you mentioned, the testosterone level is lower, so the body's not able to regenerate like it used to. So the compensation has to come from somewhere. Am I correct?
Yeah.
That lack of energy. And then number two, at that time in life, stressors in life, 3 to 4 kids, some of them in college, some of them still in grade school. Now I'm drinking more, you know. So I mean, I'm just adding 40 up in my mind to think about some of the things that can induce bad sleep for the 40-year-old. Is that along those lines, May?
Yes. Yes. So right. Yeah. And I'm glad you talked about drinking. Drinking, the men are putting on more weight too at that age. And it's really surprising because some men think that they go to the gym and build more muscles. And so they are more healthy. Yes, they may be, but they're building all of these muscles and it's distributing equally. It goes also to the neck, and that can put them at risk of sleep apnea. And that's why when you look at all the big football teams, they have a doctor that looks into possible sleep apnea. They're huge, right? They're big. And most of them have physicians that are really taking care of them, making sure they're wearing their CPAP machines, because as you exercise, as you increase your muscles, you're also at risk of sleep apnea because all that soft tissue around the neck is causing obstruction that can put you at risk of sleep apnea. Yeah.
Now, and so that's the men. And as the men continue on, maybe he controls his drinking as he gets 60. The stress gets a little bit less because the kids are out of college now. And probably sleeping for older, if they don't have sleep apnea, becomes a little bit better for the men, I would think, than the women with the menopause. Is that fair to say or suggest?
Well, it may not be, maybe better if they're on treatment, but I would say more of the women catch up with the numbers, right? So let's see, yeah, that's what I will put it that way. And then when both male and female, as they age, what we find is that they tend to go to bed earlier, right? As at about 8 p.m., 9 p.m., a 60-year-old will tell you, oh my God, I'm already dozing off. I can't stay awake till 10, 11 p.m. like I used to before.
unless they follow Jumbo's bad sleeping habits and have a nap between 2 and 4:30.
And that is very common, right? A lot of
Yeah.
people in their 60s, 55 and up will tell you, oh my God, I need my nap in the afternoons. But if they don't get that nap, they just can't stay up till 10, 11 as they used to when they were younger. So that's what we've noticed as people age, they tend to go to bed earlier and then have early morning awakenings, right? You would hear this a lot from them. Oh my goodness, by 4 a.m., my eyes are open. I would like more sleep. What can I do at that age? Yeah, we get that a
Now
lot.
let me say this because you are a pioneer, and I don't, throw fluff and stuff around. And I told you this before. I've never heard how healthy sleeping is coming from so many different angles, like obesity, like facial structure. And I was thinking about the facial structure, and that's a topic all on its own because I have dentures, and I'm sure change in facial structure might change how you sleep and how you snore. I was just thinking about all the different things, and now all the things that you provide from the area of why we don't have a healthy sleep, ways that we can get a healthy sleep if we practice some things. And, to know this is the first step. And I just don't think we have a community of people who know these basic but so in-depth things that take place. And in the end, we're going to end it on simplicity. When we first met, I had a series of videos, and one of them was the bed is only for two things. And I said, if Jumbo Love said it, they would think I was being funny and being facetious, because I talk a lot of candor, Dr. Anakwute. But we're going to end it with Dr. Anakwute. And she's going to tell you what the bed is for.
Yeah.
Go ahead, it's yours, Doc.
So I always say this, the bed is only for two things and two things only, and that is for sleep and sex. So anything else going on the bed should be taken out of the bed. And that includes reading, watching a show, what else? You name it, essentially. The bed is only for two things, sleep and sex.
And I'm gonna add this because see now I can get candid, and there's a lot of these women, they sitting around messing around with the bed, and the doctor has issued this warning. You should be like on the pack of a cigarette box, warning. This bed is only for sleep and sex, so don't be messing around and having people in there and they want to get an argument in that safe haven. That needs to be sacred, right, Doc?
Yes. Yes, yes.
No, but when you say that, it makes so much sense because if sleep is that special, we have to say these are the reasons, and I'm not being funny now, that you should be in the bed. And anything less is going to probably disturb that space and place. It's like if you have a dining room for formal dining, and now everybody who comes in with their Big Mac or whatever, they sit in that. No. We sit in a little place over there where you eat just, every day in the regular food, right?
Yes.
There you go. I'm gonna get you off the hook. I can see Jumbo Love is intellectually deep up in here. But anyway, thank you again. And I want the audience to remember Dreamland Health and Wellness. And you can find out so much more if you go to dreamlandhealth.com. And you can find out more about healthy sleeping. You can also find out about aesthetic surgeries that you might need to help your healthy sleeping. Healthy sleeping. And also, if you're obese, definitely some new ways and that we can get that in order. Anything that you want to end with, Dr. Anakwute?
I lost you there. Did you say anything else I would like to say?
Anything else that you would like to add? Yes.
Oh, I don't think so. I think we did justice to it. The reason for using the bed for sleep and sex is a topic on its own, and we can actually dive into that at our next conversation, explaining why we do that or why we recommend that, because you are so right. For example, like you say, if you're using the dining table for something else, you're playing games, or you're eating somewhere else. we would also
Right.
always tell the
Right.
children, get to the dining table. We don't eat in the living area or living space. We eat only on the dining table. So we can talk more about why the bed is only for sleep and sex, hopefully at the next time we meet. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I think I want people to understand how serious a healthy sleep is. And, if we don't start explaining that that is just as important as all these other things that we cherish, we're missing out if we don't take this advice and use it to its fullest advantage. And I just want to thank you again. And we'll be in, and I told you, we're building a series of in-depth information and conversation. Dreamland Health and Wellness. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Harold.
Absolutely.